Hello guys, I'm S3D and this is gonna be a posing video for the McFarlane Toys Doomslayer 7-inch figure. Again, this is kind of unusual. Uh, in fact, this is actually very unusual. I don't usually do domestic toys on this channel, and I don't usually do posing videos because that's just not my thing. But I've been messing around with this figure. You know, I feel like the figure itself it looks really like, museum-like, and it's very stiff. So I decided to mess around with it a little bit to see, what I can do in terms of posing options. And you can see this is actually a quite somewhat more dynamic stuff, a pose that you can do with the figure. I know I do this with my hot toy figures. People do not recommend that trying to put them in ridiculous poses, but I experiment a lot with the hot toys figures. So yeah, those figures are designed to be usually put in museum poses, but I try my best to make them look as dynamic as possible. Sometimes risk damaging the figure itself, which people really frown upon. I only do it with my personal figures. I don't do it with my consignment figures and stuff like that. But yeah, this guy right here, I decided, well, it's a $25 figure. Let's go ahead and try to get everything out of it as I can. So in my review, I talk about the bicep swivel. Well, there's actually a way where you can get the arm to rotate. So basically there is a joint right here, you can see right there, and then there's a hinge right there on the shoulder. So basically what you can do is just rotate that up and then move it out, and he can pretty much raise his arm up. Unfortunately, it's not a real bicep swivel, so like rotating it is still kind of an issue. And yeah, and right here, this part, you just need to work with it, like hinge going like this way and that way, like that. It's definitely work a lot better, for posability. So you just gotta go in there and move the hinge in the wrist. So there we go. So that actually brings out more posing options like that. So I end up making it a lot more dynamic looking. I wish it actually have a real bicep swivel that's like cut at that joint, but I guess McFarlane is just doing it for the sculpting purposes. Kind of like a lot of 6-scale figures. Sometimes they have to sacrifice posability for the scope. Yeah, at this point I really understand the reason why he decided to do that. Because you see it on a lot of 6-scale figures. I guess he's just trying to make his figure look a lot more high-end. And then maybe, I guess people misunderstood him, or, something like that. Because when it comes to like 6 and 7-inch scale, people still prefer articulation over, I guess, the scope. Because, people still kind of play with these type of figures, I guess. Especially at the price point. At the $200, $300 price point, and that's a completely different story. Most people just keep them in the box. Okay, another thing that I want to show you guys is the leg can actually go out pretty far. So he is able to kind of do like my, my benchmark pose. I call it the roundhouse kick. So he can do that, sort of. You can bring it out a little bit more if you want to. So there we go, he can do that. That's pretty good. And another thing that I did with the figure is basically, like I said, if you saw my review video, I was doing the articulation for the feet. I was like messing around with this. So basically, if you want to create ankle rocker on this figure, you just pull out the feet and you rotate this peg right here, like that. So there you go. That way you create the ankle rocker. That allows you to make your figure more dynamic. Makes the posing, the way the feet stands more dynamic. Yeah, the shotgun always fall out of the hand. I wish you had multiple hand options and stuff like that, but it's really not a big deal. And then also some people complain about the lack of accessory. Well, pretty much everything when it comes to weapons and stuff like that. Everything can be 3D printed. You can actually take the file from the game, export it, and then put them in 3D programs, and then have them 3D printed. It's very easy. You can print them from resin. You can print them from like FDM and stuff like that, and then you just paint it yourself. So if you want like a BFG, you want whatever, just 3D print one. I am actually talking to one of my friends. Of course, you guys know I'm spicy 3D design at this point. We're in the business of printing 3D printing accessories for figures and model kits and stuff like that. We're trying to see if there's a demand for weapons for the Doom Slayer or whatever. So we might consider 3D printing his assault rifle, or like whatever. He has a huge arsenal of weapons, which are pretty cool. So yeah, so we're exploring that option. But if nobody cares about this guy, then we're just wasting our time. Wasting our time and money trying to produce accessory for something that nobody cares about. Unfortunately. So there we go. So yeah, you definitely have more posing options. I really doubt if McFarlane Toys will ever come out with accessory packs for this guy. I know they usually do it. They used to do it with their Halo figures, but then Halo was a really big property back in the day. They have like weapons and accessory packs for all their Halo figures. But I don't know. With the way Bethesda is, the reputation is, they kind of ruined the reputation, and people just seem kind of skeptical about their property nowadays. So yeah, it's probably something some people would like to avoid. But still, I think this is an okay figure. For $20, for $25, I think this is I wouldn't say this is like the best deal ever, but it's pretty decent for $25. Consider what you can do in terms of improving the posability. It is a very solid figure, though, so I definitely like that. And for that, I have to probably say this is probably my most impressive McFarlane toy figure to date. I know I really didn't care about the line or the brand for a long time, so maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think this is okay. This is not terrible. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching.